Hey guys, I have two openings to take on factory partnerships where I'll be your partner on Amazon. You would work directly with me and sell through one of our accounts. If this is of interest to you, please email me directly, danny@sellersessions.com. Also, we're now open to take on more clients for our PPC agency Databrill. You can visit sellersessions.com/agency for more details and also request some of our new case studies. If you'd like to work with me one-on-one, turning around your business, some troubleshooting, dealing with ranking or PPC issues, you can book 1-hour consults via sellersessions.com/consultancy. Basically, this is a cost-effective way to troubleshoot your business and get a video recording of the session so you're able to put it into action post-call. Hey guys, welcome back to Seller Sessions. Let's dive straight back in. So in terms of predictions for next year, we won't hold you to it and then come back and do a replay next year of the predictions. But everyone likes a prediction, don't they? So it doesn't matter if we get them wrong. I'm still waiting for Amazon to bring out day parting. I think that would make a bit of a difference to people, especially on the budget side, because I can see budgets and cost per clicks still going up and away. Brian, have you got any little, what's on your wish list that Amazon will provide you apart from better support, API, better reporting, payment plan integration, and everything else? What would you like?
Yeah, better support on the API side. As far as the data accuracy, this past week has been a mess on their side. So, so starting out, I guess, with we have. Looking at this, like say Seller Central, for instance, we have with sponsored ads and sponsored brand ads. Of course, we have some of the new features like portfolios, which certainly help from an agency standpoint. It helps us to group products together more easily. We of course have that kind of stuff in our own software, but it's nice to see that on the Seller Central and AMS side as far as the portfolios. Helps us to focus our efforts in a batch of products rather than individual campaigns or individual products. So that certainly is making it easier so far. These new automatic features as far as the close match, loose match substitutes, I think as the API gets better and we get better analytics, we can start applying more split testing to those, and I think we'll see where we can actually identify what methods work better over time through better split testing. And that's certainly something that I'm investing heavily in on the software side, on our side of the house, is how do we do more with the data that we have, and as well as collect a lot more data that's simply just not available from Amazon. And try to piece everything together so we can build more of cause effect. So that's kind of where the split testing of different ad targeting, of different like category or product inclusion or brand exclusion. Some of these new things that's great that Amazon has introduced and let us get access to through Seller Central. It's going to basically just require an effort in research and split testing and learn from our mistakes. And it's kind of like, from an agency standpoint, we kind of start over with the new data that's available. And then, of course, each of us, I'm sure, have clients and audience that it's like, hey, I didn't hear, you didn't give us your best practices. Like, we don't know yet. Yeah. We're testing like crazy, but
there's not enough data there to make.
There's not enough data yet. Decision, and it's changing. Like Liz nailed it. Is that Amazon? We got to wait until the algorithm settles down a little bit, in order to start predicting what that is going to look like. Yeah. So I think it's going to be more about the taking it upon ourselves. I know I'm guessing that you guys are probably doing the same thing, but certainly we're taking it upon ourselves to invest heavily in process and in team, and especially in technology, in order to get more data than is available through Amazon.
Yeah, I mean, there's one thing we're working on at the moment, which is, they're bespoke tests, but what we're looking at is the relationship between, which is not available on Amazon, which is a lot of heavy lifting for us to do, but is the understanding the difference between positions and bids and different times of day. Yep. So we're executing on those kind of things. I won't go into graphic detail, but they're just for internal research,
That's exactly the same thing we're doing too, yeah.
Yeah, and it's just trying to break down that relationship, and we found some things that, you got the usual thing, like a higher position would generally mean better in terms of sales, which is a bit obvious, but there are some other attributes that I'll publish in the new year on, once we've got the full data in. But there's so much missing, and in a time where it's so much more competitive, the more data that you can get on your hands on, and legally, we don't do backdoor stuff, and I know you two don't either, the better, because that's going to be more informed for the clients. But I think even though sponsored ads or, the campaign manager itself isn't very sophisticated when you look at all the different levers that you have in AdWords or in Facebook, what we have to try and achieve is to find ways to leverage data in order to make better decisions that Amazon is not able to give us through the API at this stage,
Right. Yeah, I mean, I would love to see things as far as some additional features, as far as more, some of the things that are more along the lines of like DSP and AAP and some of these other features that were available. Certainly storefront insights. We haven't even, like, storefront insights is an example of an area that there's a lot more data that's becoming available, and it's just a case of going through and start looking for patterns and just doing more research. So it becomes this investment, like, oh, you've got a whole research team now, with their supporting software. And it's like, okay, now that's got to be funded by the agency in order to have a competitive edge, that we can then pass on to our clients. And while it does pay off, it's a tremendous amount of work.
It is, and the thing is, you've got to be able to take action. It's all well and good collecting all this data. People have streamed of data, but there's no point unless you can find ways to interpret it so that you can action on it. Because I've seen loads of people go, I've got all this data, and do nothing with it. And you're right, you need time. And I mean, we're even stretched. I need more people on our team. We're hiring. I know that with you, with the agency, you've closed doors, Brian, because you're at capacity again, aren't you? I mean, I don't know.
Well, we're looking to hire, probably another. We've got 17 employees right now. We're looking to hire another 6 in the next few weeks. 17
employees, and you started in what, March? You launched officially in March? That's incredible. That's a mini startup growth, isn't it?
We have a very high overhead when it comes to staff and technology, but we know that it's an investment for the future. So.
Yeah, no, good luck to you. And it's brilliant. But you're right, is that you, especially with yourself, if you've got that head count and you need someone to work on all this data, that's just not an unnecessary cost, but it's got to work, isn't it? That cost has got to pay for itself.
It's an investment, for sure.
Yeah. Liz, what's your take for next year? What's your dreams, aspirations, guesses, crystal ball?
Predictions? We obviously we're going to see advertising continue to roll out more and more changes, and we're going to see it get closer to the capabilities of Google and Facebook in terms of targeting and data. Amazon's looking to close that gap really quickly. And one thing that I'm personally hoping for is, we'll be really interested to see is, Brian kind of touched on this briefly, if they're going to bring in those DSP, AAP, whatever acronym you want to use now, the team formerly known as AMG, all of those types of, off-platform retargeting, remarketing capabilities. We've seen that beta test come into sponsored products already for some sellers, but I expect they're going to continue to expand on finding affordable ways for smaller brands and smaller sellers to use the type of targeting and ads that were previously only available to the larger brands with the big ad spend. Amazon's, I believe, is going to continue to aggressively expand on the DSP platform and expand basically how much money they can collect from sellers using it. They want to grow this organizational unit. They want to grow their ad platform. They want to grow that revenue. And with that kind of comes a caution to sellers, and even agencies, as you see all the new platforms and targeting and ad opportunities roll out. Understanding how to use those and making sure you're testing and understanding what the intent is, what the ROI is, how to effectively target for your particular brand, and making sure that, we've all seen those emails come from Amazon, especially before Prime Day and before Q1, double your budgets, double your bids, throw more money at this. You have to throw more money at it. Yeah, exactly. That's going to keep happening. And as sellers need to become more and more savvy on where they're spending their ad dollars and which platform is right for them and which may not be, the best platform for their particular brand. We talked a little bit about goals, and objectives, when to turn off keywords, when to turn on keywords, when to do all these things. Sellers are going to have a very clear set of objectives for their advertising. They need to know if they're willing to spend money to get brand awareness, or they need to know if profitability is more important for them, and adjust their goals and adjust their the types of ads they use and how they target and things like that based on those goals, and to make sure that they're actually spending that money wisely, rather than just blindly spending money on everything. That would be the worst. It's just to spend your money on everything because Amazon said you could.
Yeah.
That's going to, it's going to keep growing. It's going to be crazy. And like Brian, we're also anxiously watching Storefront and hoping we can get more and more insights. There's that new Amazon attribution beta that's out where you can, track better your off Amazon traffic as it comes into Amazon. I think Amazon's going to continue to realize, we can bring more and more traffic if we're enabling sellers to be able to see what their actual ROI is from these Facebook ads and Google ads and things like that. So Amazon's in the business of making money and bringing in more customers, and they're going to continue to roll out whatever tools they need to help sellers bring in that traffic.
I tell you what, another thing I'd like to do is to see an improvement on click fraud. I don't know if you've experienced much, you guys yourself.
Actually, I would say that, I want to commend Liz. I was just directly in agreement with everything you were saying there. So that was very well said. So I like that. When it comes to click fraud, we haven't seen as much of an issue on that. It's something that we check for periodically, as just kind of a matter of routine. I think we have, internally we have 24 different checks that we do each week, on optimization. And so one of those might be to look for those instances where something's suspicious. We don't usually, it doesn't really come up very often where we actually need to act on it, where we see a pattern. Usually it's on a specific keyword, and that's kind of a known entity, and the seller, the client already knows that that's just competition, attacking them, for instance. Yeah. So I think we see very limited enough that that's not a big concern of ours. Yeah. I think more concerning to us is Amazon's progressive restrictions on things like sponsored brand ads. That's certainly something we're wrangling with a lot more this year.
Yeah, that makes sense. Now, I've seen some, haven't had so much issues ourselves, but I've seen some screen grabs where people have put around, and it shows that Amazon is credited their account and understood that there is click fraud. So what they basically said there, because I shared it with our group in the UK, because someone in the group had a problem with that, is that all that demonstrates that it does exist and that Amazon will refund if they do find it is, that there is proof there in terms of what is going on in terms of unusual activity. So it could be quite interesting for the future, because obviously we've seen there's the rise of black hat this year. It's been tremendous. Yeah. And, on top of, brushing and different aspects that they do, like the, burner accounts, all that kind of thing, I can imagine that the services for click fraud will grow and grow and grow as well, because that's another attribute as Amazon gets bigger and bigger. and the money's getting bigger and the stakes are higher, people will employ some of these teams. I think Amazon sacked a few people. I think it was out in India, possibly, for some of these.
They've got their own internal affairs.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, they've been stomping that out.
So it'd be an interesting year next year. Is there anything you guys want to add before we go?
Well, I guess one of the things that we're kind of what my comment earlier as far as the sponsored brand ads, we're seeing a lot more content restrictions starting to be employed by Amazon, usually around claims as far as things like weight loss and men's performance and some of those. And we're seeing a lot more ads both on the sponsored brands and the sponsored product side that are being blocked from running ads. Simply because of use of content that the FDA may find borderline as far as claims. And we're not talking about, blatant stuff like cures cancer or something like that. I'm saying just like you're proposing that this is going to have some kind of a health benefit. And that's literally the terminology that I received from one of my contacts inside of Amazon is, the rule internally is we will look at blocking ads for a product that has any kind of mention of a benefit to a person's health,
or hair growth, or
that's a pretty broad.
Weight loss, hair growth, anxiety. We've had that too, and it's not even just ads. We've had a couple clients, their product pages were taken down because they had crossed a line in. Oh, this treats, or helps with this particular.
Right. Helps with. We're starting to see more.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean they've been very stiff on labeling over the last couple of years on supplement bottles for sure.
Right.
Yeah, so that's obviously.
Another one too is like events, like we saw this. I think we had this discussion previously too, and that had to do with more time-based promotions, as far as limiting how soon that we can run ads leading up to an event, leading up to Prime Day, leading up to Halloween, or some kind of graduation or something like that, where they're not allowing us to start ads until a certain number of weeks prior to that actual event. We can't just run them year round like we might have in the past.
Yeah.
So they're definitely trying to put in more restrictions. Of course, they're always going to progress more for making sure that we're focused on relevance to a specific target audience, not just trying to be all things to all people. So anybody who's listening that thinks their product their product is the target market is everybody, you're wrong. But Amazon will certainly fight you on that assumption, is that you do have a target audience. You do need to actually focus in on that niche. And so kind of like just supporting what Liz was saying earlier is, don't try to just spend your money on everything and try to be all over the place. Really learn who your target audience is and start really focusing in on that target audience. And if it splits into 2 or 3 different target audiences, well, develop different products that focus in on the different specific niche audiences.
Yeah, I think one other thing that is another trend that's grown this year, which is automation. And I think one of the biggest stigmas around that process is that it's just plug and play, and it's not.
Yeah.
Obviously, we like 80-90% of what we do is automation, but you just can't at this stage. There's no way of removing the human out of the equation, because I can see. I mean, I get people come to me and say, "I'm using such and such software, and it's blowing up my account, etc." But I said, you need to harness this stuff. I mean, Brian, you've built some automation as part of the setup in house as well. But like me, you agree that there's only so much that can be automated.
Yeah, I think it helps more with I think there's definitely too much confidence that's been given into that you can hand it over to a bot that will just run your ads for you and everything will just, work out beautifully. I think, your weak point is who's behind it.
Your weak point is your knowledge, isn't it? That your knowledge of the system. If you understand all the rules and basis of the system and how it works, then you can harness it. If you plug and play and you're clueless about it, you're going to be in a lot of trouble.
Yeah,
that's where we found success. Yeah. Oh, go ahead. I'll say that's where we found success is if you understand how the automation was built, you understand the rules behind it, the algorithms that have set it up, then you can not only trust a little bit more, but you can then use your manual bidding and tuning to, steer the ship, so to speak.
Exactly. Yep.
You don't want to let it. We've taken over accounts who've signed up with those software platforms that are, all you have to do is check, and you're done.
Yeah.
And they've done that. I'm like, yeah, let me take over. So, and we've used those software platforms, and as long as we can understand what's behind them and understand the rules that go into them and bring in that human factor and go, oh, we know that this algorithm is going to do this when this happens. So I'm going to circumvent that by doing this instead so that I can still meet the goals.
Yeah.
So you have to have that understanding. You have to have that human input. You have to, continual oversight, to whatever platform you're using. There's some great platforms out there, but you have to understand how they work, and you have to oversee it and step in when necessary.
Yeah, definitely. I think we've referred to that in the past as far as the black box. There's like the black box solutions, which you don't have visibility, insight into what is actually being done, the decisions being made. Those I find to be more dangerous than helpful is the ones that are upfront, where you can set your own rules in addition to maybe some machine learning to provide some additional insights. But certainly, I think it's a bit naive for anybody to just hand their account over to somebody else who runs software and just lets it run without some kind of accountability and auditing going on. That's part of one of the things that we have within our own team is, even though we might run automation in certain parts of our operation, we still have a team that we look at the data from a research standpoint and do split testing and cause effects and these kinds of things. But then we also have a team that audits the processes to make sure, is this doing what we expect it to do, and are we getting the same results that we were expecting it to do? Mm-hmm. If you don't have that kind of hands-on, where somebody's really paying close attention to your specific account and looking out for you, it's a risk.
Yeah, totally makes sense. Cool, guys. Brian, although you've shut up shop for now, how does people reach you if they need to get in contact with you?
You know what? I mean, so our agency site, of course, is www.canopy.management. And we'll open back up again in 2019. But we like yourselves, we put a very high value in quality for each of the clients we work on, and we're okay with pulling back and not taking on new business to ensure that quality is maintained. And I know both of you do the same thing with your agencies. So www.canopy.management is our agency site.
Excellent. And the Facebook group?
Amazon and PPC troubleshooting.
Cool. I think 99% of the audience know about it, but for those who don't, there you go. Liz, how can people reach you? And I'm sure your doors are still open, are they? Or
Yeah, we've added a couple team members recently, so we have capacity going into 2019, and we can be reached at egility.co. That's EGILITY.co. And you can email me, liz@egility.co as well.
Sounds good. Guys, thanks for joining us. Brian, thank you for joining. Liz, thank you for joining us. I hope you have a wonderful Christmas and New Year. I look forward to seeing you guys on the other side. I'll be back in the next few days. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button. You can get show notes at sellersessions.com. Take care.